series. This is Awaken Your Neurons Empire webinar series. And today, what we're going to do is I'm going to give you a little bit of an introduction of, first of all, what is Awaken Your Spiritual Neurons Empire. And I'm also going to give you a brief as to what to expect in the following series. We are going to spend some time for 21 days consecutive, in which hopefully I will be able to go with you into a little journey. Okay. Now, before we start, just want to let you know that at this point in time, I am actually recording in two different screens. I am in YouTube and I am also on the Awaken Your Neurons Empire 2023 Instagram channel. Okay, so for those of you who want to watch these videos later, you can access it via YouTube, or you can always remit to the reels in the Instagram channel. Anyhow, so my name is Johan Stredet, and the reason why I actually um, wrote this book was the result of many years of not only studies and research in neuroscience, but at the same time, um, a lot of experiences, personal experiences. Um, One of the things that we need to take into consideration is that in order to understand what is awakening into a higher level of consciousness, is that we are all a process. Okay, our brain, our mind, our bodies, actually, they are a process. Okay, we are a continuous process. And the simple reason to explain that is because we are made of two, I would say, principal or main elements. One is electricity, and the other one is chemical reactions. That's in, let's say, the biological terms. That's how we are basically composed. Okay. Now, uh, when we're talking about a process, and we're talking about a transformational process in which we want to move from an old me to a new me, we have to be willing to pass through that process. And that process, of course, like anything else, it's uncomfortable. It's sometimes a little bit painful, and it takes effort. It's something that we need to make it happen. We need to actually take actions to do so, right? So, what we're going to be experiencing is precisely that, is precisely a process. Okay, a process for what? When I actually came into this, let's say, spiritual journey, I had to actually change a lot of things from the old self that I used to be in order to become something else. And I say something because I needed to get out of the commonalities, the common of who I was, right? I like to use the reference of a book that I like a lot from Joe Dispenza, which is breaking the habit of being yourself. And that's what we all need to do in times like this ones, in which we are actually looking for something different. Because the reality is, and hear me out, everybody is suffering today. The world is pretty much going into chaos, and people are getting sick. I was actually surprised the other day. I was reading an article on the mental health stats for 2023, and it is amazingly surprising to see that today 1 out of 5 Americans lives under some sort of emotional or mental uh, disorder or dilemma. And the other thing that we need to actually take into consideration is that the world is getting uh, into a completely chaotic situation. Let's take a look at the wars that are happening in the world. And let's also take a look at what's going on with the environment. And everything it's actually happening because there are many things that are happening in the minds of human beings. And of course, some of them are using, their intellect to create good things. Others are unfortunately doing it to destroy. But there are some people that are in the middle, or there are people that somehow they have passed through a lot of situations, a lot of traumas, dilemmas, um, limiting beliefs, and they're looking for something. They're desperate, and I can tell you that because I was in that same situation. I was at some point in time facing a lot of dilemmas, and I was emotionally lost, right? And that was one of the reasons why um, I started looking for answers, not only um, from the psychological point of view, but also from the scientific point of view, which was neuroscience. And then after that, um, I believe that there was something greater than myself that uh, I needed to surrender. I needed to bring to my attention. So, awaken your neurons empire is pretty much having or gaining the consciousness that in order to move from some sort of old beliefs or conditioned beliefs or dilemmas, right? We're going to have to pass through a process. And the process, and hear me out, right? The process, it's something that takes time. Of course, we're not going to be able to change anything in 1 day or 2 days, right? But at least we're going to be able to create new mentalities that are going to help us to move towards that transformational process that is going to take us, hopefully, to higher um, conscious levels in which we're going to be able to experience different things. So, when I wrote the book, I took into account three uh, main factors, which were basically the ones that I have been passing in my own personal experience and my own, let's say, spiritual journey. One of them is a reference, right? We all need a reference in order to go through a process. Second, uh, we need to gain understanding of what is going on in the present time, right? That is affecting us. And number three, we need to allow ourselves to experience something different. So those are the three parameters that hopefully uh, you're going to be able to experience in this series, right? You're going to get a reference, you're going to get new understandings or new knowledge, and hopefully you will be able to experience other kinds of feelings different from the ones that you have been feeling. Okay. Now, I'm gonna save part of my personal story for you to uh, read it in the manuscript or in the draft of the book that I am actually getting. So you're more than free to actually register in my site to get a free copy and go along with the book, which is, of course, a book that is not only to be read, but also, I would say, it's a book to be felt. Okay. Now, in that book, what you're going to find, of course, there are aspects, different aspects that I put there as examples of, in the way, of course, of little stories along my path. And also, we're going to talk a little bit about the brain, how the brain works, how is it composed, and also the most important thing, how is it that our brain has been programmed along all these years or decades that makes us do the things that we do and think the way that we think and feel the way that we feel. Then at the same time, uh, and once we understand how this machine, how this powerful tool works, then we're gonna uh, try to understand a little bit as to what is it that the brain is capable to do in terms of change. Okay. Change is something that in the brain is known as neuroplasticity. It's the ability of the brain to reorganize ideas, to uh, create new feelings, new thoughts, make new brain cell connections, right? Based on what? Based on external experiences, but also internal experiences. And in this journey, we're going to try to concentrate more on the inner aspects of our mind rather than the external. Okay. We're going to try to look for transformational processes. Remember that this is a process, but we are going to focus more on the inner process of changing our beliefs that have been conditioned for a long time and that they don't longer serve as a purpose. Okay. And once we have that knowledge, we're going to start working on, let's say, tools to create new habits. Okay. One of the ways in which the brain actually works to create a habit is basically, I need to apologize because something is happening with my camera on the Instagram channel that is flashing off. So I have to all the time click it to bring it back again. So that's why I'm hitting bottom anyhow. So what I wanted to mention is that uh, in all this process that we are going to go through, right? The brain is going to pass through also several, let's say, chemical reactions, changes. The way our mind, the way our brain actually works, is basically through light. Light meaning electricity, right? Meaning brain waves, and also meaning chemical reactions. Okay. And of course, I'm not going to get into the details of like the chemistry of the body, because I don't think that's the purpose of the book, right? But you will, I mean, you will have the opportunity to read a little bit about that in the book. In the webinars, uh, we're going to try to have an experience, a feeling experience, um, to change our brain frequencies into more elevated frequencies, meaning going from very high beta brainwave uh, stressful states into more elevated alpha waves. Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit about breathing. We're going to talk a little bit about meditation. And mostly, we're going to use um, two essential ingredients that, of course, the brain is capable of using. And this is probably one of the greatest gifts that uh, God has given us, which is visualization and mentalization. We're going to go up a little bit through what is visualization, and I'm going to try to explain some of the concepts of neuroscience through uh, visualization. So instead of going into technical definitions, we're going to try to use the power of our imagination to experience how the brain works. You see, this is I think like the exciting part, and this is I like to talk about visualization. And even though I remember when I was teaching neuroscience quite a few years ago, I used to give a lot of examples using imagination, right? Uh, Getting people to visualize in their minds how things work in based on uh, sensory perceptions from the outside world, and that's what we're going to experience in this series. Okay, so this is pretty much the introduction of what we're going to do in our series. Tomorrow we're going to talk first about how our brain connects points or connects memories. Okay, and we're going to start working from those connections so you can start understanding how your past connects to your present and how your present affects or impacts your future. Therefore, you're going to understand that past, present, and future, they are all connected in our lives. Okay. And we're talking about the past not as a painful process, but as a contemplational process in which hopefully we're going to be able to rescue some feelings from the past that we need to rescue in order to heal um, memories that prevents us from going or moving forward. Okay, because I believe that the purpose of a transformational process is precisely to heal from the past, right, in order to understand what's going on in our present so we can make a better future, right? But in order to do that, we need to understand what happened in the past. And one of the reasons why I put a lot of the personal experiences in my book was precisely to give you what? To give you a reference um, that you're not the only one that suffer. Of course, everybody has its own dilemmas, and there are things that we need to understand why did it happen the way they actually happen, so we can understand what is going on in the present time. Because when we understand the cause of our attitudes or our behaviors in the present, right? Then we can actually make the changes, and those changes actually become easier. But we need to actually take a look at those, let's say, repressed memories, and mainly repressed emotions. Okay. Now, you're going to see that in the series we're going to talk a lot about feelings, because first of all, like I said before, right, the book that I'm writing, it's about feelings. Okay, it's about uh, getting out of our rational and getting and tuning in more into the uh, emotional. The emotions are one of the most important parts of our living experience. Okay. And when we are talking about it, spirituality, we're not talking about uh, just simply believing. Okay, we're talking about feeling. One of the experiences that I have that took me to this journey of spirituality was precisely allowing myself to feel that energy that is within myself, and also to feel that energy, around me, which I call, in my own words, I call it, and I choose to call it God. Um, I also call it the universal intelligence of love, because I think that everything that is around me and within me today is based on the love that I have been able to discover in within myself. And I needed to pass through the process, right, of feeling the self-love, the self-respect that I didn't feel in the past, because I was too attached to what? To emotional wounds or emotional um, experiences that they were constantly repeating themselves in my mind. So again, I needed first to have a reference, which was my story. I needed to get new understandings as to how my mind and my brain worked, and how the process of energy, the process of electrical signals, which is light, basically, and even the chemical reactions are also light, because they come from what? They come from everything that God has given us, um, which is, the nutrients, the food, the good food, of course, uh, that we have, to support our bodies and to support our existence and our physical existence, let's say. So we're going to talk a little bit also about um, what is called body consciousness, and related to soul consciousness, or in other words, spiritual consciousness. And that is spiritual consciousness. Um, we're going to make reference basically to what? To the aspect of self loving ourselves, learning to self and to, let's say, to self respect ourselves in ways that we are able to heal. The healing process is a self love and a self respect process. That's pretty much what it is. That's what I have experienced, at least. So I'm going to give you a homework, let's say, and a challenge, so we can start that feeling process. Okay. I want you to take a piece of paper and a pen, and I want you to write in that piece of paper, what is it that keeps you awake at night? What is that worries you constantly? And the second thing that I want you to write in that piece of paper, and I want you to contemplate it, not judge it, but just contemplate what is the one thing based on what it keeps you awake at night or what it worries you at night. What is the one thing that you feel that prevents you from going or moving forward? That if you were able to transform it or to change it, it will change the whole thing in your life. So, for example, let's say that uh, your issues are, let's say that they're based on money issues. Okay, let's say that you need money, and that's what keeps you awake all the time, right? But at the same time, the fact of having um, money problems or issue problems, right? There is a cause for that. So the idea is if you were able to change your mentality about money, maybe that will change everything and that will change the whole perspective of your life. Maybe you will have better things, or maybe you will be able to experience other things. Okay, and I'm just giving you an example, right? um, it can be money, but ideally I want you to think of something from yourself, an attitude, a behavior, maybe a dilemma, or maybe a childhood trauma that you have not been able to resolve and that you're eager to resolve. It can be anything, all right? So that's the challenge that I'm going to give you. And we're going to take it from there tomorrow when we are going to start talking about connecting the points. Now, what I want to also make emphasis before we finish this first session is please feel free to register in my website www.brainenlightenmentjohan.com, so you can actually qualify to get a free copy of my first draft of the book. And I think again, it's not the final project, it is the first draft. But you're going to be able to get a lot of insights, from that book, uh, draft. Okay, so I encourage you to get the book. Okay, and take advantage that it's for free right now, right? And of course, take advantage that I mean, you can use it in your benefit, you know, to help you pass through the processes of transforming yourself into a better self or into a better version or higher version of yourself. Okay, so visit my site again, www.brainenlightenmentjohan.com, to register. Make sure that you put your name and your email, answer the questions that are in the questionnaire, right? I'll send you the copy, and we'll take it from there. Okay, and don't forget today to do those two questions in a piece of paper. Just contemplate them and feel the questions. Try to feel them rather than just being rational. Okay, so I hope that this first introduction has enlightened you in some way or has inspired you in some way to transform whatever it is that you are looking to transform. Okay. Thank you so much. God bless you. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, um, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. And I'll see you in the next session. God bless.